I read chapters 21 and 22 of The Legal Environment of Business. For reading chapter 21, I ended up learning a whole lot about this chapter. I mostly ended up learning a whole lot about acts that apply in the workplace. I learned about the employment at will doctrine. It is a contract of employment for an intermediate term as terminal at will either be the employer or the employee. The traditional American rule governing employee commutative relations. Public policy exception is an exception to the employment at will doctrine that makes it unlawful to dismiss an employee for taking certain actions in the public, taking certain actions in the public. The implied convenience of good faith and fair dealing expectation is an expectation to the Employment at Will Act based on the theory that every employment contract, even an unwritten one, contains the implicit understanding that the parties will deal fairly with each other. The Civil Rights Act of 1866 is a statute guaranteeing that all people in the United States have the same right to make and enforce contracts and have the full and equal benefit of the law. The Civil Rights Act of 1871 is a statute that prohibits discrimination by state and local governments. The Equal Pay Act of 1963 is a statute that prohibits wage discrimination based on sex. So this basically is probably one of the huge ones out there because, as most of us know, something we see a lot in the workforce is that females don't really get paid as much as males, especially whether they have the same job title or it's a different one. Title VII is a statute that prohibits discrimination in hiring, firing, or other terms and conditions of employment based on the basis of race, color, religion, sex, or natural origin. Sexual harassment is unwelcome sexual advancements, requests for sexual favors, and other verbal or physical conduct of a sexual nature that explicitly or implicitly makes the mission a term or condition of employment or creates an intimidating, hostile, or offensive environment. The Rehabilitation Act of 1973 prohibits discrimination in employment against otherwise qualified persons who have a handicap. This basically means that this would apply to anyone who has some sort of condition. The technology enforcing standards are standards of pollution and control set primarily on the basis of health considerations, with the assumption that once regulators have set the standard, industry will be forced to develop them. Technology needs to make them. Technology-driven standards are standards that take ascendant of existing levels of technology and requires the best control system possible given the limits of that technology. The Environmental Protection Agency is a federal agency charged with the responsibility of conducting an integrated, coordinated attack on all terms of pollution of the environment. The environmental impact statement is a statement that must be prepared for every major federal activity that would significantly affect the quantity of the human environment. The State Implementation Plan is a plan required of every state that explains how the state will meet the federal air pollution standards. A manifest program is a program that attempts to see the hazardous wastes are properly transported to disposable facilities listed by the EPA so that the agency will have an accurate record of location and amount of all hazardous waste. A superfund is a fund authorized by SRSLA to cover the cost of cleaning up hazardous waste disposable or undisposable sites whose owners cannot be found or are unwilling or unable to pay for the cleanup. And pesticide is any substance designed to prevent, destroy, repel, or mitigate any pest or to be used as a plant regulator or deficient. From reading the two chapters, it ended up expanding a lot about my mind and about business law. It helped me learn a whole lot more about the laws that take place. Some of them, of course, I've heard of, and from reading chapter 22, it helped me understand a lot about how hazardous material matters in the workplace. I know that one of the huge things that I do when I have jobs is to study about the chemicals as well as waste. I still have not even encountered one during my time as an employee, but I know there could be a chance I could be affected or could have a chance that it will happen to me sometime in the workforce. This actually helped expand my mind, and it helped me realize that there is the possibility that one day, at least one of these acts or one of things with hazards will come my way.